These are the best players for each NFL team, and a lot of these will shock you. Lamar Jackson is the best player on the Ravens, right? Absolutely incorrect. Not anymore, he's not. But who is it then? Deebo Samuel just got a huge contract from the 49ers, and he carried their team in the playoffs. But he's still not the best player on the 49ers. It has to be George Kittle then, right? Wrong again. There's a secret weapon on the 49ers that we will talk about later in this video. And also, how about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes? They're not even the best players on their own teams. What? Starting off at the bottom with the Houston Texans. They're all bad, but we gotta give this one to the massage specialist, Deshaun Watson. Wait, he doesn't even play for them anymore. I guess we'll go with the smoke god himself, Laramie Tunsil. Another bad team, the Giants. They're full of bad players, but I think Saquon Barkley will rebound from his injury and shows why he was so goated as a rookie. How about we talk about an actual good team? A team with some young stars that took the NFL over by surprise, the Cincinnati Bengals. Their best player has to be Joe Shiesty or Jamar Chase, right? Not at all. It's actually their running back Joe Mixon, who they benched during their biggest play in their Super Bowl. Shake my head. What were y'all thinking? The Philadelphia Eagles. I know they just traded for A.J. Brown, but Darius Slay is still the top dog in Philly. How about the Cleveland Browns? It's pretty obvious. And the answer is Myles Garrett. Is Garrett a nice guy? Not at all. But you gotta admit, he is one of the best defensive players in the league. The Lions are up next, and it's T.J. Hawkinson. Atlanta Falcons. This one is pretty easy. The guy who's carried them for the past decade and their former MVP, Matt Ryan. Oh wait! They just traded him. Oh, this one's tough. I guess we'll have to opt for A.J. Terrell then. The New York Jets. After much back and forth on this horrible team, I think it's pretty safe to say that their best player is Quinnen Williams. Whoa! Or so I thought. Tennessee Titans. The man who has been carrying this team on his back single-handedly, Derrick Henry. Now, let's get to the juicy stuff. Why isn't Lamar Jackson the best player on his team? And if not, who is it? Well, Lamar Jackson is a great young and up-and-coming player who has shown many promising signs. However, he has a lot of weaknesses too. For example, he isn't the best at making reads and going through all of his progressions. And he's a quarterback. Like, that's your job. He chooses to run too often, and he misses out on bigger plays through the passing offense. But he gets bailed out by his star tight end at times, Mark Andrews, who excels at a lot of things, catching, route running, blocking. So I gotta give this one to Mark Andrews, America's football team. Are they still called that? Nonetheless, the Dallas Cowboys. I know many of you are probably thinking that it has to be Dak Prescott, but Zach Martin is way too good to leave out of this list. Lizzo's team is next up. Dalvin Cook is probably going to be one of the best Viking players of all time. But does that mean he's their best player right now? I think we have to go with Justin Jefferson, who is one of the youngest, brightest stars in the NFL, and on his way to becoming the best receiver as well. Next up, we got the Carolina Panthers, the number one guy in fantasy football drafts for like the past 5 years, and for good reason. Christian McCaffrey. I know he's had many injuries, but there's no one else who comes close to him on the Panthers. Take him number one overall in your fantasy drafts with confidence. Speaking of fantasy, another name who you might take number one is Jonathan Taylor. That makes him the clear best guy on the Colts. Hold up now, not so fast. He's not the best player. It's actually their secret weapon who makes Jonathan Taylor look so good, with the huge holes he runs through, and that's Quentin Nelson. On to a spicy one now. You're not ready for this one, even though it's the absolute truth. The Buffalo Bills' best player is not Josh Allen. I know that he led his team to the playoffs this year. I know he was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year, and he might be the best Bills quarterback ever. I know he looked unstoppable this past year and was one of the biggest rising stars in the NFL. However, that doesn't make him the best on the Bills. That title belongs to Stephon Diggs. Diggs edges out Josh Allen because he was also put up amazing numbers. And unlike Josh, who broke out this past year, Diggs has always been good. So who's to say Diggs isn't the reason why Josh Allen looks so good? because of Stephon Diggs. Listen, we're just getting started, and that's not even the craziest take left in this video. It gets way more spicy and a lot more crazy. The Chicago Bears. With Khalil Mack leaving in the offseason, that makes way for a new star on the Bears, who also happens to be on the defensive side, Roquan Smith. The Pittsburgh Steelers. It's been a few years now since the team with the most Super Bowls ever has been to the big stage. They've been a slump, and they've lost all their good players like Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. But there have been a few bright spots like TJ Watt, who comes from a family of NFL stars. And speaking of Watt in NFL, we have another star, JJ Watt, the best player on the Arizona Cardinals. Psych! It's gotta be Kyler Murray then, right? Wrong again. DeAndre Hopkins is the best player on the Arizona Cardinals. The Washington Redskins. The Washington... Gosh dang, how many name changes are you guys gonna go through? The Washington Commanders have a lot of young stars on their team. Chase Young, Ant Gibson, Terry McLaurin. But their best player is actually Jonathan Allen, the Seattle Seahawks. Now that Russell Wilson left them, this is a very, very difficult decision to make. They got guys like Jamal Adams on their team and also two great elite receivers as well, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. While DK is a younger, explosive, promising player, I think I gotta give this edge to Tyler Lockett. I know that you disagree. But hold on now. DK will probably prove me as wrong as well in this upcoming season. But when we look at Lockett's efficiency, his route running, and all the skills and everything he has, I gotta give him the edge. Football isn't just about being the fastest, you know? Well, unless your name is Tyreek Hill, the best player on the Dolphins. Tyreek Hill is not only the clear best player on the Dolphins, but also the fastest player in the NFL. His speed is out of this world, and puts him in the conversation for one of the best receivers we have today. The New Orleans Saints. What happened to you, Kamara? You were one of my favorite guys to watch in the NFL, and the clear best player on the Saints. Hopefully, you make a comeback, boss. But, on to the best player. I think when healthy, both physically and mentally, this guy is easily the best player on the Saints. Not only that, he can also be one of the best receivers in the NFL. And his name is Michael Thomas. If only he can get healthy and also get his head on straight. That's a lot of ifs for a player to be great. How about we talk about the actual best, who doesn't need any ifs and happens to be the best receiver in the league right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Las Vegas's newest acquisition, Davante Adams, the best Raider and the best receiver in the league. Jacksonville Jaguars. Brandon Sheriff. I know it's a boring pick, but Josh Allen is really inconsistent. One week he's imposing his will versus opposing offenses. Another week you don't even know he's on the field. To be the best, you have to be consistent, day in, day out. The San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers just gave a huge contract to Deebo Samuel, who deserved it after he carried the 49ers this past season and made some memorable dances along the way. But that's not enough to give him the title of the best player on the San Francisco 49ers. Okay, it has to be George Kittle then, right? Try again. It's actually one of the best kept secrets in the entire NFL. Probably the best player who doesn't get enough credit in the entire NFL, and that's Trent Williams. Just because Trent Williams doesn't put up great numbers or have the flashy plays doesn't mean he's not the best. His impact on the team doesn't show up on the stat sheet, but his blocking allows his teammates to all succeed. And let me tell you something. If you did not agree with that ranking, then you're definitely not going to agree with probably the hottest take in the NFL that's actually true, which I'll address later in the video. The New England Patriots, a franchise that used to impose its will on everyone, and we all knew they were making the Super Bowl practically every year. But that was with Brady. How about now? Who is their best player? It's either between Matthew Judon or Devin McCourty. Personally, I'm going to go with Matthew Judon, as it seems like whenever I watch a Patriots game, it feels like I always hear Judon's name and how he's making a big play. The Los Angeles Chargers. For years, their best player was Keenan Allen, but he got older and the Chargers have gotten a lot of new talent since then. Joey Bosa, the best player on the Chargers. Nope. Khalil Mack, their new addition? Wrong. It's actually Derwin James. He is one of the best safeties in the NFL, if not the best safety. Green Bay Packers. This one is clear cut, and their best player is Aaron Rodgers. Heck, he might even be their best player of all time. And I know the Packers lost Davante Adams, but Aaron Rodgers has shown in the past already that he's able to post elite numbers without his best players. Just goes to show you why he's the best player on the Green Bay Packers. Denver Broncos. Their best player is a man who they just traded for and one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Russell Wilson.
That's right.
Hold on now. Not too fast. I know Russell Wilson's really good, and I know he's won a Super Bowl. But just because he's a shiny new toy in town doesn't necessarily mean he's the best player on the Broncos. That title belongs to Justin Simmons. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do we even need to talk about this one? Actually, yes, because it's not Tom Brady. Relax. Take a deep breath. Calm down. The Bucs are absolutely loaded. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Gronkowski, Uncle Lenny. With an offense like that, it's hard not to be good. So, who is the best player on the Buccaneers then? It's Vita Vea. I know he's not the quarterback scoring the touchdowns or catching the crazy passes. Heck, he's not even the one who's getting the sacks. But he's the anchor of the defense, and the defense just happens to be the best unit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Because of Vita Vea's fat ass, the offense has to put a lot of focus on stopping him, which makes guys like Devin White, Lavonte David, and Shaq Barrett thrive, all because of his impact in the trenches that often gets overlooked. On to the Kansas City Chiefs. They just lost a few good players, Tyrann Mathieu and Tyreek Hill, but neither of those two were going to be the best either way, because it belongs to Jackson Mahomes' lesser-known brother, Patrick Mahomes. Psych, not about the Jackson part, but about Patrick being the best player on his team. I know he's the best quarterback in the league, and he'll probably rewrite the NFL's record books. But there's a guy just as good as him, if not better, and that's Travis Kelce. You can't say Travis Kelce isn't goated in his own right. The man is a flat-out superstar, and he helps make Mahomes look great. Last but not least, your Super Bowl champion, Los Angeles Rams. And their best player is obviously Cooper Kupp. I'm kidding. Please relax. This one goes to the best player in the NFL right now, and maybe the best defensive player of all time, Aaron Donald. But if he's not the best defensive player of all time, then who is it then? The man who literally put chills in his opponents. This man drank so much alcohol, he would literally sweat alcohol, and he was so dominant that the NFL decided to start counting sacks as a stat. Not only that, the NFL had to change the rules in order to help the offense to try to slow this man down. Click on this video right here to find out who it was, and please subscribe.